quote, ayahuasca told me that as
Yeah.
a potential harm for participants, because I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I think it's really important for listeners to keep in mind that is a significant thing that can happen, that can be harmful. And if we're in this conversation, I want to have at least a piece of that sort of contextualizing what this ayahuasca told me that thing is, and what people should probably keep in mind with respect to that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, first of all, that ayahuasca told me that is one of the main reasons why people drink ayahuasca. So people drink ayahuasca because because during the experience, you will feel that you have learned a number of things that you didn't know and that you know now, and they have become very clear to you. And it feels, even though literally you were sort of hearing the voice of your own thoughts, I guess. I mean, it was something you're hearing in your head. It feels like you've been told these things. So, and then these things have to do usually with the direction of your life. It has to do with things that are very important. Ayahuasca doesn't tell you, have for breakfast tomorrow, or change. It always seems to have like an important sort of, emotional charge, and an important charge in terms of how meaningful this is to you. So it's one of the main reasons why people drink ayahuasca, looking for what ayahuasca tells them. And it's always interesting. And it's usually beneficial, and that's why people drink. The problems become when there's sort of harmful or wrong interpretations of what ayahuasca said are made. And they usually come in the form of taking something literally, and thinking that ayahuasca speaks as if that ayahuasca speaks like a journalist instead of like a poet. The language of ayahuasca is symbolic. It's usually closer to the language of dreams than it is to the language of an encyclopedia or a newspaper. So, ayahuasca is not a good place to, I don't know if you ever tried to do mathematics while on ayahuasca, or to think about your schedule, or try to square up some numbers, or try to, put complicated, chains of events in place. It's not good for this. It's very, very good for emotional processing, for sort of something, depth sort of perception of things. But also things are presented symbolically or metaphorically. So very often, for example, ayahuasca works as a sort of mirror, and it will show you your desires. It's a very good place to see what you want. The thing is, it's not going to tell you, ayahuasca, like a journalist, hey, this is what you want, by the way. That's not how it appears. It appears very often as a vision of yourself in the future. So it's not, and this is, for example, dangerous with people with narcissistic tendencies. People with narcissistic tendencies, they will drink ayahuasca, and ayahuasca will tell them that they are not just great, which they already knew, and special, which they already knew, but actually chosen. They are actually chosen for a most important, task and operation, because they've always been, and they have special powers that come out of her. I mean, it takes many manifestations. This is not true. Sorry, this is true. This is absolutely true, but it's an internal truth of the psychic structure of that person, not an external a factual truth of the journalistic type. Right. So to be able to discern this is when the danger or the harm comes, when wrong discernment is made about what was being said there. As people take it literally, oh, I am literally the Messiah. No. I will give more down-to-earth example, which you would have heard, and many of us have heard. Ayahuasca told me to quit my job, or ayahuasca told me to, get a divorce, separate from my partner, right? So I don't think ayahuasca says that. I think ayahuasca told you that you really don't like your job, and I think ayahuasca. What actually ayahuasca told you is that there's serious issues in your relationship that you should look at, and maybe that you desire to divorce your partner,
Sure. Or
The
that
one
you
thing,
desire to be out of the dynamics that are presently in your marriage, and it manifested as divorce because that's the simplest, most direct
exactly.
metaphorical way to represent being out of the dynamics. It doesn't necessarily mean divorce your partner when you get home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Especially when you get home. So these are two very common mistakes. The first mistake is to make, very, very big life-changing decisions the day after drinking ayahuasca. And, the sort of answer to that is don't do it ever. Don't ever take a life-changing decision, the night after drinking ayahuasca, unless this decision has to do with certain immediate harm. So if ayahuasca tells you to quit drugs because you're addicted to drugs, then absolutely quit the next day. Don't think about it for 2 weeks. Yeah. Right? If there's a real danger, then you should do it immediately. All other major life changes, changing jobs, changing divorces, investing in projects, selling, buying, all, calling somebody that you haven't spoken to for 20 years to apologize for something that happened a long time ago that now you want to apologize. All of these very important things will not benefit from you doing it in the morning after in the heat of the moment, because they're important things. They will be important that day and 2 days later and 2 weeks later. And it's important to see how important they are 2 weeks later compared to what they were in the heat of the moment, And also because it's completely unfair, even when you look at it, to put the responsibility of this on ayahuasca. How can you go to your partner and say, we're going to get divorced because ayahuasca told me that I should divorce you? What is your partner going to think? It's like, what the hell? It's like, that's like saying, I was walking down the street and I met this really wise man and he told me I should get divorced. So I came home and I decided we're going to get divorced. And the other person's like, who the hell are you listening to?
I mean, that goes into the other thing that you cover in the course, the angry relative, which I don't want to go into here. I'll leave that as a sort of like a teaser for people who want to follow up.
But I will just close, because this also, we could talk about this all day. Generally speaking, when should you take a life-changing decision that ayahuasca told you? When you can honestly say, I decided this for myself, not that ayahuasca told me. So if you're gonna divorce your partner, divorce your partner when you can tell your partner, hey, you know what, I thought about it and I decided it's best for us to separate. When you can own that responsibility and take it away from ayahuasca, the closer you are to being able to do that, the closer you are to a place where harm can be avoided.